Hey everyone, welcome back. Today, we're diving into one of the most profound questions: did creation arise from consciousness, or from matter? Did the universe come first, or did intelligence? This debate has been ongoing for centuries. Scientists argue that the universe came first, leading to the evolution of life and eventually intelligence. But all spiritual traditions agree on one thing: creation originates from consciousness. So, which one is true? Let's explore this from both perspectives and uncover Swami Vivekananda's unique insight. Swami Vivekananda compared Western science with Indian spirituality and pointed out that all religions claim this world emerged from consciousness. Modern science argues that first, there was matter, which evolved into life, then complex organisms, and finally, humans with intelligence. But Vedanta holds the exact opposite view, stating that everything originates from the divine consciousness, Brahman. This means consciousness has always existed, and matter manifests as a reflection of that consciousness. Islam states that Allah created the world, and Allah is not material but conscious. Christianity says, God created this world, and their God, too, is a conscious entity. Buddhism also upholds consciousness as the ultimate reality. Every spiritual tradition claims that creation emerged from consciousness, while modern science says that first, the physical world was formed, and consciousness evolved later. Swami Vivekananda presents a unique perspective. He explains this as an infinite sequence, like a chain repeating A plus B plus A plus B infinitely, where A represents consciousness and B represents matter. Consciousness gives rise to matter, then matter gives rise to consciousness, and this cycle continues forever. If you start from A, you will say consciousness came first. If you start from B, you will say matter came first. Indian philosophy and all religions take a top-down approach, while science takes a bottom-up perspective. Science sees material existence evolving into intelligence, but Vedanta says intelligence already existed, giving rise to matter in the first place. Creation will dissolve, and after dissolution, matter will arise again, followed by intelligence. It is an eternal cycle. Science has no clear answers about what happens when everything dissolves, or what existed before creation. Scientists don't claim that nothing existed, they simply say that beyond a certain point, their equations no longer work. But here's where a major issue arises with Abrahamic religions, Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. They believe that God created the world by mere will. That idea is somewhat acceptable, but the problem is their claim that God created everything only once, and no further creation will ever occur. This raises serious questions. How long will this creation last? When did it begin? The Bible provides a specific answer, which even Newton calculated. It states that God created the world in 4004 BCE, about 6,000 years ago. Despite new scientific discoveries, Christian society still clings blindly to this belief. The unfortunate reality is that Jews and Muslims also accept this timeline because they don't reject the Old Testament. If you ask a Muslim when creation happened, they will also say 6,000 years ago. However, archaeological findings from China and elsewhere have unearthed fossils proving that humans existed as far back as 200,000 years ago. The real problem here is a misunderstanding of religion itself. Religion has two aspects: an inner, spiritual practice and an external, ritualistic practice. When any knowledge falls into the hands of the ignorant, it gets distorted. A family that nurtures culture and wisdom uplifts all its members. But in a family without cultural roots, even if one member achieves great success, the rest remain ignorant. The Abrahamic religions suffer from this problem. Their idea of a one-time creation conflicts with modern science, leading most scientists, who are often from Christian or Jewish backgrounds, to reject religion altogether. As a result, many scientists become atheists, though in reality, they are rejecting only Christian dogma. Even Vedantins reject the Christian concept of creation. From the Vedantic perspective, creation is eternal and infinite. No matter what science concludes, it does not affect this view. Swami Vivekananda's key point is that matter and intelligence exist in an infinite cycle, just like the repeating pattern of A and B. However, we must remember that what we call intelligence is only a reflection of consciousness in matter. Nature itself has no intelligence. According to Vedanta, consciousness has no relation to science. Consciousness belongs only to Brahman, to the self, to the divine. Whether we call it Antaryami, Atman, Paramatman, Brahman, or God, it is all the same. When this consciousness reflects in matter, it appears as intelligence. Think of electricity passing through a light bulb. When the switch is off, the bulb is just an inert object, but when electricity flows, it glows. Similarly, intelligence is just the reflection of consciousness in matter. This is exactly what happens with the conscious self. When consciousness approaches matter, matter shines with intelligence. From this intelligence, the collective mind forms, which then manifests as the gross world. Within the gross world, when consciousness expresses itself at an individual level, that collective mind appears as individual intelligence. There is a distinction between the collective mind and the individual mind. The creation of the visible universe always comes from the collective mind. However, when we say intelligence arises from matter, we are referring to its expression at an individual level. This cycle continues indefinitely. Scientists start with matter, so they say intelligence comes later. Religious people start with intelligence, so they say consciousness came first. This is why the yoga philosophy explores these ideas deeply. To fully grasp this, we must understand the three gunas, sattva, rajas, and tamas, which exist in four states: specific, non-specific, lingamatram, and alingam. That means the gross world, the subtle elements behind it, the intelligence behind those elements, and the source of all, prakriti, or nature itself. But beyond all this, our ultimate goal is not just to gather knowledge but to realize the Supreme Self, the Purusha. The Purusha transcends nature, yet his consciousness illuminates all of nature. Whenever we praise someone's goodness, beauty, or intelligence, we are actually praising only the body, mind, or intellect, all of which are material. Since the Purusha exists behind everything, we mistakenly perceive matter as intelligent. However, our mistake is that we never look toward the Purusha himself. Instead, we remain mesmerized by the reflection of his consciousness within matter. People marvel at the beauty of the moon, writing poetry about its serene glow. Yet the moon only reflects 6% of the sunlight it receives. Essentially, the moon is just a poor quality mirror. If we gave a mirror with such low reflection to a woman, she would probably smash it in frustration. In contrast, a high-quality Belgian mirror reflects 90 to 95% of light. But has any poet ever written verses about a Belgian mirror? No, this is the nature of ignorance. Similarly, we get lost in the reflected intelligence of matter and forget the true source, consciousness itself. The goal of all knowledge is to turn our gaze from the reflection to the true source, from the fleeting to the eternal. The journey is not about debating whether consciousness came first or matter. It is about realizing that consciousness is the only true reality, and everything else is but a reflection of its infinite light. If you found this discussion interesting, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Do you think consciousness came first, or was it matter? See you in the next video.